Aloha everybuggy! Today I thought it would be cool to share the backstory behind my Gen 7 LPS. I'm going to do it based on the order of which ones I got first and go from there. Okay, so these were the first two Gen 7 LPS that I got. I got them in the mystery boxes, and the reason that these are interesting is because I actually did not buy these for myself or go out and buy them for myself. My boyfriend knew that I was interested in the upcoming LPS release, and he knew that I was kind of obsessive about it and checking the store and calling them, and he even went with me a few times to go check and see if they had them. So one day when I was at work, he messages me and he's like, "I'm at Target and I'm gonna get you LPS." And I was like, what? I was not expecting him to go there and get them for me. So he talked to the employee, and the employee was like, "We have some in the back, but we can't reach them right now, so if you come back in a few hours, we can get them for you." So he comes back to Target in a few hours and he gets me 2 blind boxes because they gave him a minimum or a maximum of 2. I guess because they were in popular demand. So he got me these 2 blind boxes, and I was not expecting to get this girl here. This is the LPS that I wanted the most out of the blind boxes, and she was the first box that I opened, and I got her, and I had genuine excitement when I opened the box. And then my second box, I opened this guy right after. So this is Sprinkle, and this is Flan. So yeah, there is something interesting about these two that you'll see later. But for now, I just want to say these are my first 2 LPS, and they were purchased for me by my boyfriend. The next 3 LPS I actually did buy for myself. We have this guy. Sprite is his name, which his name seems to be a fan favorite in the Discord channel that I use, and everyone really liked the name Sprite. So yeah, that's his government name. That's like all of their names now, so that's canon. But yeah, that's Sprite. And of course he came in the 3-pack with this one and this one. So the backstory behind these 3 is probably the least interesting of all of them, but I bought these at the store with my boyfriend's mom when we went grocery shopping because I saw them there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get them. So this is Sprite, this is Zyla, and this is Barry. The reason I named him, which yes, I'm using this as a male, I named him Barry because he reminded me of Barney, and I didn't want to go with Barney, so I just did Barry. So yeah. Not much interesting about these 3, but there is something interesting about Sprite that I can share later on. I'm trying not to spoil the rest of the story, so there is something interesting about Sprite that you'll see later on. Okay, so what links the rest of these pets together and makes them interesting is that I've actually never left my state. I've never been on an airplane. I never saw snow before because I live in Florida, and I actually went on my first trip last week to Virginia so I could visit Washington, D.C., and the rest of the pets I actually bought in Virginia when I was on my trip because they had a bunch of LPS at Target there that they didn't have where I live. So they're all basically souvenirs from Washington, D.C., and yeah, so let me go ahead and share them with you, and then I can spoil the other stuff from earlier. So I'll go ahead and start with boom. So I did get a duplicate of Sprinkle, and the interesting thing about this is that when I got Sprinkle, I asked my boyfriend, I was like, what should I name her? And he said Bella, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna go with Sprinkle. And he's like, why did you ask me if you're not gonna do it? So when I got the duplicate, I named her Bella. So this is her twin sister, Bella. So that's the interesting thing about her name, and what I was talking about earlier is that she has a twin. So if you didn't guess, this guy also has a twin, and the interesting thing about it is that I left his twin with my friend that lives in Virginia, and so now he has a twin brother that lives in a different state. So yeah. Okay, so I already did a showcase video of all the Gen 7 LPS that I have, but I'm just going to quickly show the rest that I got on my trip. So it was these 3, which this is Clairvoyance, which is long for Claire. Her name short is Claire. And this is Periwinkle, which could be Perry. And this is Ginseng, like the tea. And then we have Lorraine, which I'm not going to get into her name lore, but we also have this one here, Callie. So This one actually does have lore behind her name, so I'm gonna go ahead and explain that because I think it's interesting. Okay, so the interesting thing about Callie is that my sister, when she was younger, actually had a horse named Callie, and the horse actually kind of looks like this mold, and yeah, so I basically named it after my sister's horse from when we were little. This was like 10 years ago, at least, so I remembered and just named it after her horse. And then we have Paisley, Viola, and Meredith, but there's nothing interesting to say about them. And then we have Absalom, which I think is how you say his name, but I actually don't know. I named him after the Alice in Wonderland caterpillar that smokes, because that's what it reminded me of. And then, of course, we have Oreo, which is obvious why I named him Oreo. And then we have Ruby. So she's really cute, but there's no backstory with these, but I did get them in Washington, D.C., so that's cool. But I'll go ahead and get into the backstory on the other ones that I was saving for later. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Sprite and Clairvoyance. And I'm sorry there's so much shadow with my hand. I'm having issues with my lighting, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about these two. So first of all, I wanted to talk about how I took Sprite on the airplane with me. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, this was my first trip ever, and this was my first time ever going on an airplane. So I think that's pretty special to have with my LPS, is that he was on the plane with me for the first time. And I did take some pictures of him where we were staying, and yeah, so that's what's interesting about him. With Clairvoyance, I actually took her out in the snow, which it was my first time seeing snow as well. And she had this cute little scarf that came with her that fit perfectly, and I thought she looked so cute for the winter theme, because it was snowing. And yeah, so I took pictures of her in the snow and took her to Panera with me and on a walk, and yeah. And then I have one big picture of all of my LPS on the table when I opened them, and I forced them to watch a movie. So thank you for watching. I want to say sorry for all the shadows. I think I had my lighting up too high, and I'm having issues with my lighting right now, but I thought it would be cool to share with you all. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe or leave a comment, because it would really help me since I'm a new channel.